George 5532, mate, why would you have 7 million numbers after your name? I'm not going to read all those numbers. Do you or would you ever take SARMS? Hello and welcome to another video, and we're in Den Haag in the Netherlands. Boy, we've come away with the family, went to a centre parks in De and in Belgium first. We've now come over to Den Haag because they live in Den Haag. It's a cool place, and I'm currently filming a Q&A for you while sat on a spinny chair. Could this day get any better? I don't think so. Yeah, Q&A. So basically, I knew that I needed to make like a midweek informative video for you, but I also knew that I couldn't be asked, and so I thought, I know, I'll make a Q&A. And that is like a little kind of insider YouTube secret for you there. Like, if any of your favourite YouTubers ever upload a Q&A, irrespective of how they try and justify this, oh yeah, I'm trying to connect with my audience, that's a lie. They basically couldn't be asked to make a real video, and that's why they're making a Q&A. Like, that's the truth, guys. But I figure like they're easy to make, they're relatively entertaining, and like you get to find out information, like they're informative, you get to ask me stuff, so everyone's a winner, you know? Okay, so what I did was I put a post on my Instagram story asking for questions. I got like 40 million questions from you in a couple of hours, so firstly, thanks for that. Secondly, I guess to an extent, calm down. If you missed that entire situation, you probably don't follow me on Instagram. If you don't follow me on Instagram, what are you doing? Go and do it now, at Matt Does Fitness. It's freaking sick, particularly if you like pictures of men in their pants. Now, what I will do, which is what I always do, is I'll set a timer, because otherwise these things will get out of hand and I'll speak for like 3 hours. So I'm gonna set a 15-minute timer. I haven't pre-looked at the questions because I find it more entertaining if I just kind of look at them as I go. The only downside is that occasionally I get a terrible question from an absolute moron, in which case we'll just skim past that. But timer is happening now. Let's get to my first question. Okay, M_Richings 83. Bro split or full body? I mean, when you say bro split, I'm assuming you mean like body parts as opposed to full body, in which case a bro split. Like, I personally prefer like a push-pull legs essentially, but I don't think a full body is an effective way to train. So like full body basically means you hit like, you know, upper body and lower body together, so push-pull legs all in one session. I guess the only circumstance where I would recommend that is if you are limited on the number of times you can train. So if you can only train, let's say, up to 3 times a week, then I'd say you're probably gonna have to implement some kind of full body program in order to cover everything. But if you can train, say, 4 and above times a week, then for me, full body is not the one. Like, you just can't, if you try and hit that many body parts in the space of one session, it's very, very hard to maintain quality. Like, unless you're gonna do 1 exercise per body part, which is not gonna be enough volume for most people, it's just gonna be hard. You know, like for example, if you're gonna go legs first and then push and then pull, by the time you get to your pull exercises, your body's gonna be fried, your CNS is gonna be fried, the quality is gonna be low, and therefore they're not gonna get as much emphasis, they're not gonna get as much from that workout as, say, other body parts. So for me personally, full body workouts freaking suck. George 5532, mate, why would you have 7 million numbers after your name? I'm not gonna read all those numbers. Do you or would you ever take SARMS? Okay, SARMS. I was actually going to make a video on SARMS because it's like a bit of a trending thing at the moment, you know, but I figured I didn't want to do that, but I'm now talking about it, so that's funny. I'll probably actually end up titling this video something about SARMS because, like I said, it's a good topic. But yeah, okay, so have I ever taken them? No. Will I ever take them? No. They're in the same boat as, let's quickly clear this up in case you're unaware what SARMS are. SARMS are essentially, they're not truly a steroid, but they basically are. They do the same things as a steroid, except for they supposedly target specific cells rather than like everything, and therefore you're meant to bypass all the negative side effects, right? So I'm going to put this in the same boat as steroids, in the sense that I've never taken them, I will never take them, and there's 2 main reasons for that. And again, it's the same as steroids. So if we talk about steroids first, right? The first reason and like the main reason is that if you start taking them, like, where do you go from there, right? You start taking steroids or any kind of performance enhancing drug, your performance is gonna be enhanced, right? You're gonna get bigger, you're gonna get stronger, whatever it is. Now, that's great in that sense, right? But over time, you're gonna have to increase your dose for it to keep working. If you ever get to a point where you wanna stop taking it, or because of your health you wanna stop taking it, or, you know, for whatever reason you stop taking it, like, your performance is then gonna deteriorate. You know, you're gonna go back to being a weak, feeble, like, weasel, and that's gonna suck. You know, like, if you start taking it, then you're then kind of backing yourself into a corner whereby you always have to take it to maintain that level of performance. And that's not something I want to do, because even if you wanted to take it, even if I wanted to take it now, like I don't want. It's hard for me to say, oh yeah, I'm going to want to take it in like 5 or 10 years time. But if I start taking it now, then when I stop at some point in the future, which is like inevitably going to happen, then it's going to suck. It's going to be depressing, and you're going to want to give up training. I think you see it quite a lot. You see a lot of people that have clearly come off something they've been taking previously, and they either look significantly worse, significantly smaller, or their strength drops significantly. Like, I don't want that to be happening to me. That would be a terrible, depressing thing. And like I said, I think it would end up making you like quit training. The second reason, and this is, I guess, not as big a factor, but still a pretty massive factor, and that is just the side effects. Like, obviously with steroids, there are loads of known side effects. Now with SARMs, like I said, they're supposedly meant to eliminate side effects. Like, I, for one, don't believe that, and the problem is that it's like a new thing. It's only been around for like recently, and so there's no research, there's no like long-term studies done on them, and therefore the chances are there will be some side effects. If anything, it's probably more risky than steroids, because at least with steroids, although there are known side effects, like they're known, so you can kind of generally assume what's going to happen if you take them, whereas with SARMs, you don't know. Like, no one's taken them for 5-10 years and seen the results, so there's no way of knowing. So the risk there for me is even greater, which makes me even less susceptible, or less likely to take them. And so in short, George, no, I've never taken them, and no, I never will. Johnny_Hennigan. I'm trying to bulk, but people keep calling me sorry, I shouldn't laugh. I'm trying to bulk, people keep calling me fat, what should I do? I mean, it depends. Like, if you are fat, then just take it on the chin. Now, I'm joking, you shouldn't call people fat if they're fat. Although, I mean, this is very controversial. Fat, I know it's like not a nice thing to say, but technically fat is a descriptive term, right? Like, body fat is the thing. If you have loads of body fat, technically you're fat, right? I guess it's not nice, but it is, just a statement of fact, right? Anyway, that's beside the point. What I would recommend, Johnny, is that, I mean, it depends, right? If you are really fat and they're literally saying, Johnny, mate, you're really fat, then probably stop bulking and go on a bit of a cut. If you're not that fat and they're just being like gimps, then don't worry about it. Like, people like, ultimately, like, I know everyone wants to impress people, right? But you should be doing something for like intrinsic, like you want to, for reasons, like to do with yourself. So if you're doing a bulk and you've researched it and you know it's the right thing to do, then just do it. Don't worry about what people say. _Joe, DC_. What is your workout schedule for a week? Good question, Joe. And the answer is, it's a sick hybrid program that you can actually buy right now on my website. Top link in the description of all of my videos is a link to my website. Go on it. You can buy, it's called, the hybrid program. It is my current program, so if you want to do that, you can be on exactly the same programming as me. It's freaking sick. It is basically a fuse of powerlifting and bodybuilding, and I basically do a push-pull leg split. Morgan_Freely, should you mini cut during a bulk or just ride it out until you start your actual cut? I would say it depends on the length, right? This goes for a cut or a bulk. If you're running a really long cut or a really long bulk, I'm talking about months and months, then yes, you should definitely put some little breaks in there. So if you're running a really long bulk, what's going to happen is that your metabolism is going to adapt to the increased number of calories, and you're going to have to keep increasing your calories. I found this in the past. You get to a point where you're literally force feeding yourself and you're still struggling to gain weight, and it sucks. So in that situation, what I would do, assuming you want to carry on bulking for longer, is put in a little break, maybe for a week, maybe even for 2 weeks. Either maintain for a bit or go on a slight cut, go sit in a slight deficit. Like, obviously you're going to lose a bit of mass that you've gained, but what's going to happen is that you're going to kind of almost reset your metabolism, also reset like your psychology, because it does get horrible having to force feed yourself. So I think it's definitely useful, and particularly with a cut, lots of research has shown that putting diet breaks in your cut is actually very beneficial for long-term sustained fat loss. So yeah, I would definitely say yes, that is a good idea to do that. Benjamin JTF, what is the most effective way to take creatine, i.e. frequency and amount? I get asked about creatine all the time, and I don't know why. I do know why. I mean, I've said this loads of times before. I think supplement companies are quite sneaky in the way they market creatine and the way they try and persuade you to do bizarre things with it. I'm going to outline this very clearly, right? Creatine All you have to do is take 5 grams a day, once a day, preferably at the same time. It's not essential, but preferably at the same time. So for example, I'll put a 5-gram scoop in my protein each night, so I know I take 5 grams of creatine every night at this roughly the same time, and that's it. You don't need to come off it, you don't need to increase it, cycle it, load it, whatever. Just do 5 grams a day, every day, and that's it. Batesman Jacks, that's a stupid name. Any technique advice with regards to bench press and increasing your weight? It's quite a big question. Let's go for technique first. So a couple of quick, big like bench press technique things I would highlight is try and get a little bit of an arch. So even though technically in a bodybuilding sense it's good to be nice and flat because you can engage your chest properly, if you get a bit of an arch, you're going to be in a more advantageous position. You're going to be able to bench press more weight, and that's ultimately going to allow you to make more progress, I would argue. So get a bit of an arch with your back, retract your scapula. Try and just really focus on engaging your chest. Like, it's very, very, not easy, but it can be, you can get to a point which I've done in the past where you use so much front delts that your chest is not engaged as much as it should do. So be really mindful of engaging your chest the whole time, really squeezing it at the top of the rep. That's as far as technique goes. As far as increasing the weight, just set up your program in a way that your volume is increasing at least every couple of weeks, but if you're a beginner, definitely every week, even every, from session to session. So give you a real basic example here. Let's say we're doing a 100 kilogram bench for 5 sets of 5. The following week, you can try and do 102.5 kilograms for 5 sets of 5. You can keep doing that. When you get to a point where you can no longer increase your weight every session or every week, then start changing the reps around. So let's say you do 5 sets of 5 at 100 kilograms. The following week, you're going to do 5 sets of 6 at 100 kilograms. The following week, you're going to go back to 5 sets of 5 and then increase it to 102.5 kilograms. So basically, just make slight increases each week to allow you to keep progressively overloading your training, to allow you to keep making progress over a long period of time. Giorgio Phil 2000, would you ever consider going vegan? Would I consider it? Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to lie, let's be clear here first, right? Being a vegan is better, for your health, right? If you are solely concerned with living for longer, then being a vegan, I'm almost certain is gonna allow you to do that. So that's one thing, right? I think it's better for your long-term health, and I think lots of studies and research kind of indicates that is the case. Look at a friggin' turtle, they live till they're 600, right? Anyway, in terms of me right now, the reason it's not that simple and that kind of black and white is that I would argue another few years on your life isn't worth the ball ache of having to eliminate 90% of your diet. My diet, the vast majority of it is not vegan. I've done a vegan day before and it sucked. It's not the meat. I mean, I'm not that desperate. Meat, I could probably cut out meat for some time. I don't think that'll be that much of a problem, but it's more just things like dairy and everything. When I went shopping for vegan stuff, it's amazing how much stuff isn't vegan. I think if you live in America, it's probably easier, and maybe even certain parts of the UK, but where I am, it's very hard to get, solely vegan stuff. And from my experience, it's probably, going to upset some people, but some of the vegan things I've eaten, they suck. Vegan cake is friggin' disgusting. I'd rather eat my shoes. So in that case, with that in mind, I probably almost certainly will never go vegan. Jerome Leshcott, what do you think about intermediate fasting? I think it isn't a thing. I think you mean intermittent fasting. I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt, Jerome. Intermittent fasting, which is essentially where you only eat within a certain window. So you say, right, I'm only going to eat from 2 till 8, for example. So you don't eat for a long period of time. It's basically, there's reasons why you do it. First, let me clear up one thing. Intermittent fasting and no diet is going to magically help you achieve any goal, right? There's no diet that just makes you lose more weight or makes you gain more weight or whatever. It's just down to personal preference. What I would say is that if you are on a cut and you don't get hungry in the morning, then intermittent fasting could work really well. For me personally, I'm never hungry. I never crave food until maybe 11, 12 o'clock. So if I was cutting, I could easily eliminate breakfast and it wouldn't really affect me. So that would be a clever thing to do because you'd essentially be saving calories for later in the day. So if that is you, then that's great, go for it. And if intermittent fasting helps you achieve your goals, then brilliant, go for it. But going back to what I just said, intermittent fasting and diets as a whole, whether it's keto or whatever, none of them are a magic solution to achieving a certain goal. They're all just, different ways of going about the same thing, which is basically eating more calories or eating less calories. Will Bailey 247, what ab exercise do you do to get the most defined abs on the planet? Wink smiley. Will, that's very kind of you. Firstly, I'm going to say that Having defined abs, like, to be honest, your ab exercises aren't the be all and end all there. Like, ultimately you can do the best ab exercises in the world, but if you're fat, you're not gonna have abs, you know? So you need to firstly get a low enough body fat that your abs are gonna be, you know, clearly visible. At that point, yes, I guess training abs properly is gonna make a difference. Like, for me personally, I would say cable crunches are my favorite ab exercise, and basically any ab exercise that you can add resistance to for a long period of time. The mistake some people make is they do something like sit-ups. Obviously, as soon as you are relatively trained, you can do like 50, 100 sit-ups. That's a waste of time. You might as well go for a run. So the beauty of cable crunches is that you can increase the weight on the stack, right? So you can keep progressing, you can keep, like I said earlier about the bench press, you can keep progressively overloading the exercise, and therefore you can keep making progress and building muscle on your abs over a longer period of time. Rowie_Hadar or Hadar. Hi Matt, what do you recommend to do at the gym after a minor injury? For example, a wrist injury. Thanks for the specifics there, my friend. So after a minor injury, and I guess any injury, to an extent, like, what's key is that you give your body a chance to adapt. So the mistake lots of people make is that they, like, particularly, this is particularly true of like tendon injuries, or, you know, injuries where there's not a lot of blood in the area. If you just completely rest and do nothing, the chances are when you come back to training, like when you resume training, particularly if it's like a mechanical issue that's causing that injury, it's still going to be there, or it's going to come back. Right? What you need to do is firstly, of course, correct the issue. So if your knees are sore because you're squat. Sorry, I will carry on because I'm in the middle of a question. I think it's quite a good question. If your knees are sore because your squat form sucks, then obviously fix your squat form. But as well as that, you need to integrate your training slowly over a period of time. So if, I mean, a good example, my bicep tendons, I've got sore bicep tendons. I essentially have a bit of tendinosis in my bicep tendons. If I just do no arm curls for ages, when I come back to doing arm curls, the chances are they'll be sore again after a period of time. What I need to do is build up the strength in my tendons, give them some kind of stimulus to adapt to. It's about finding a balance, right? So do enough so that, I mean, if the injury is a little bit sore, but it's a dull ache and it just maintains, it kind of stays there, that's okay, you can do that. If the pain starts to get worse, then sack it off and stop what you're doing. But yeah, just give it enough of a stimulus, do enough to help that healing process, because when an injury is healing and the body's kind of chucking collagen down there to make it heal, it needs to know where it needs to be, it needs to know what it needs to, you know, what is required of it. And if you do nothing, you know, so if you hurt your knee and then you go and sit in a chair for 6 months while it heals, what you're telling your body is that your knee doesn't need to do anything, it doesn't need to work, so it's going to heal with that in mind, right? If you're active and you're putting it through a range of motion and you're putting some pressure on it, you are telling it that it needs to heal to adapt to that workload, and so it's going to do that. It's going to heal in a much better, more supple, more you know, a stronger way. So that's what you've got to do. You've got to do enough to stimulate it to heal properly, but not too much that you make the injury worse and it never heals. And that is where I'm going to end the Q&A, because I think I've done quite a lot, but more importantly, my timer stopped. And as everyone knows, when timers go, you have to stop what you're doing, unless you are a sadist. I sincerely hope you enjoyed it, guys. If you have enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up. I will possibly make a day of eating / vlog while we're here. It's currently Tuesday, or it's like Wednesday for you if you're watching this on a Wednesday, which you should be. If you're not, then enable post notifications. Yeah, depending on, basically we haven't booked our return train journey, so if we are here for the rest of the week, chances are I will make a vlog / day of eating for you in the Netherlands. If we go back before then I'll probably make it at home, but you will find out on Sunday at 7 PM GMT, which is when I upload that video. So yeah, I'm done, it's over, I'm going to do something now. Hope you enjoyed it. See you tomorrow.